Growing up in a small town such as Learned, Mississippi, I have often found myself yearning for the wholeness that being in a small town brings. Being grown now and living quite some distance from the small town, I find myself missing the oneness associated with the town, and with that, I have decided to visit Learned once again in hopes of being educated on its past, such as how it came to be and where it stands in today's time. How have you enjoyed living in Learned all these years?
I've enjoyed it very much. It's a very small town. It's quiet. We have three children. Well, they are grown children now, but when they were young, they could come and go with their friends that ride their bicycles all over town, and it was an ideal place for children to grow up.
We didn't have uh, all this kind of stuff to fool with when I was growing up. All we did was rode horses, and a bunch of the kids in our town, we would divide up one side of the town against the other side, and we always had something to do. We didn't have any of this social pressure on us growing up, and we'd play on the bales of cotton and play tag and something like certain things like that. It was quite a unique experience growing up.
It was so much fun. There was nothing to worry about, carefree. Um, we spent our days fishing, building forts, castles, using our imagination, walking the creeks, playing with crawdads, um, frogs, turtles, roly polies.
How has your experience been raising children in such a small town?
Well, I think it's been the very best because there was no fear when they were coming up. They could roam the streets all day long, come home for lunch or not, or eat at their buddies' houses, and we didn't have to worry about them.
We stayed out all day and did not go back home until lunchtime. And after that, we stayed out until the street lights came on.
With its rich history and great atmosphere, one would think a small town like Learned would last forever. Unfortunately, this is not the case, as over the years the town has become more and more irrelevant to the state of Mississippi and those who once knew it so well. What can you tell me about Learned in terms of history or background, and how has your family contributed to the growth of Learned?
My daddy's brother, Uncle Benton Regan, he drove the steam engine on this railroad down here in Learned from New Orleans to Jackson 2 or 3 times a week. And then he also pulled the circus train, Barnum and Bailey Circus, uh, from New Orleans to Jackson every year. He was the only one that they trusted to pull the circus train. So the Riggin family, my great great granddaddy, gave the land to the town of Learned to build a town on. And Mr. Learned came down through here, and he's really the man that took over getting the town of Learned started.
We had a post office that a senior citizen lady, neighbor friend of mine, Miss Maggie Smith, she was the post mistress, is what they called her. And the post office was run out of her family. Well, they owned this building. I'm not sure what the original building was, if it was a hotel or mercantile shop, but it was Learned's post office, and we would walk or ride our bikes, and we would walk down these, he'd open these crickety doors, and you'd walk on the old wooden floors, and you'd make it to Miss Maggie. She had a small little air condition in the door where she was, and we would just open the door, and Miss Maggie would be waiting with us with our mail rolled up with rubber bands. And here you go, Karen. How's your mom and them? And it was always just a real family friendly event. But I look forward to it every day, Monday through Saturday. It was, 6 days a week. She worked that.
Most of the families have been here for a century. We have a volunteer fire department that the men in the community paid for. And to pay for it, we had hamburger suppers and garage sales and lots of things where we would all get together. And it was a lot of fellowship. Good place to live.
The best part of living in Learned was the store, Gibbs store. And we would go spend our nickel and get our 1 cent bubble gum. I would buy 5 pieces of gum. That was the highlight of living in Learned, was getting to walk to the store by myself or with my brothers, either one, and spend my allowance. And that is where I spend it every single week.
Chip took over it, and he decided to start a cafe type thing for nighttime service. And he started cooking steaks and ribeyes and fillets and lamb chops. And they had homemade casseroles and desserts also. And then he died, and then his son Chipper Gibbs took over, and they're still going now. And they've added on to the store, and they've gotten bigger as far as the amount of people they can serve and all this. And what it really does to help the town is the tax base. You know, we get taxes off of everything that they sell. So that has really helped our little town as far as income coming in. So, but it's helped Learned a lot.
Do you fear that Learned or any small town alike is dying?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The thing about the little town of Learned is when they put 18 highway through, that's when the town of Learned went down. I mean, as far as we just kept, people quit coming here to buy groceries and 3 stores, and they just were on 18 highway. They'd go to Jackson and do all the shopping. 18 highway is what killed this little town.
You did have to plan your trips to town. You couldn't just go spur of the moment. Oh, we need some milk, and you just hop in the car and go get some milk at a convenience store. You can't do that.
We went from a pretty thriving little town to almost nothing.
Would you recommend living in Learned to anybody?
Yes, I would. If you want to live a carefree life and enjoy the outdoors.
It's just unique. I've never known another town like this. We have had some newcomers to move in, but they seem to fit in real well, or they don't stay very long. But I think it's the people, the history. People are just basic, God-loving, nice people.
With this, I leave the little town of Learned once again with not only a yearning for the wonders that a small town like such brings one, but also a longing for the continued appreciation and consideration towards towns like Learned, Mississippi, in such an urbanized world that we are living in today.